think that someone is really happy with their life, but these comedians, even the nicest ones, have the biggest demons. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. I wouldn't say comedy's not all happy. It's just people. You got to just be a person. There's when you let the comedy run your life, you'll become very sad because you're chasing a drug. You know.
Sort of like when I first came to town, I was all about radio, 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 and I was unhappy even when I was being successful. But now that I'm going on dates with women,
Yeah.
and now that I'm having fun going to open mics and leaving my apartment, if you become what you're doing, then you're a loser. You're a narcissist. You need to have fun in life, you know?
It's like a bubble, right? So if you're in the bubble, so you're in the radio world with just doing that repeatedly, then when you step out of the bubble, you're like, oh, I missed all of this, right? So I'm almost 3 years in, and so for the first 2 years, I was just in this bubble, right? And then you step out of the bubble, and you're like, oh, I missed out on a girlfriend. I missed out on this. I missed out. When you can do both, that's where the happiness is.
And then that's where you get the content. And that's where you get the material, is when funny things happen in your life. When you go on weird dates, when you see weird people, that's when you get the material. If you're just all about radio, radio, comedy, comedy, you're going to be no different than anyone else because you're just going to be a carbon copy. Yeah. What's some of the weirdest things that you have put into your comedy that have happened in your life? Like when you were doing your set at Wine and Rhyme at Elise, you were talking about all the weird things that happened in Atlanta when you went to the Laughing Skull. And that was just so relatable because it painted a picture in my mind. Even though I wasn't there, you did a really good job of making me feel like I was there with you.
Yeah, Atlanta was weird. Definitely not the weirdest things I've put into jokes. Probably the weirdest, most uncomfortable thing I put into jokes is talking about sex. Like talking about my sex life. Like
does your girl not like that?
No, not even like the current stuff, like the previous stuff. Like I'm talking about losing my virginity and stuff like that. There's jokes about that, but
why is it so awkward? It's in the past.
Because it's stuff that people don't want to hear it because people don't want to hear about your sex life. It's funny, but people aren't like, we care. Nobody cares how you lost your virginity. It was a funny story, but nobody cares. It's
I notice sex is a very taboo thing. I feel like 50% of people like hearing about it and 50% are turned off.
It's been done. It's been done. I think that's what it is. I think people are like, we get it, you know. There's so much negativity and it's in every movie, it's in TV shows, it's on the radio, it's everything.
That's why Howard was so big back in the day, is because he was the one outlet to hear porn. He was the one outlet to hear about edgy things. But now there's every podcast that's trying to be the next Howard, and you have to be yourself. That's what I see in comedy too, is it's all about being genuine and being yourself. Because if you're going to try and be a carbon copy of someone else, it's not going to work.
What do they say? It's something about copying is damn.
Basically, don't be a hack. If you're being someone else and you're that influenced by someone else, then you're not doing a good job. Like, here's the thing. I used to be influenced by the previous show I worked on, Rover's Morning Glory. It's a very good show. It's huge in Cleveland. I have a lot of respect for it. And I used to do a podcast where I would sort of copy him in a way that I was just edgy. I began to show with a pump up intro, and I wasn't being myself. Now I embrace it. I'm awkward. I'm uncoordinated. I'm goofy, and my show's more successful than ever. And that's because there's just one Rover. There's just one Howard. There's just one Opie and Anthony. When you are influenced by them, but you're yourself, it comes off more genuine, and people are drawn to you.
Yeah, that's become the best jokes of mine. It's like nobody else can talk about going to FAMU. Nobody else has been the only white guy in an all-black environment. Nobody has done what I've done. Nobody's, you know what I mean? Like when I talk about FAMU, the crowd goes, "Oh!" Like everybody, well, they're intrigued. They want to know what that's about. Nobody's experienced that. Nobody's been able to talk about that. You know, there's so many things. The lunch tray thing. Me hitting that kid with the lunch tray is a real thing. I hit this kid with a piece of styrofoam, and nobody else is doing that. Nobody's dumb enough to do that. But these things happen in my life. There's dumb things in your life that would be great jokes, but nobody else could do them but you.
Like me losing my V card to a 50-year-old woman.
I mean, that's happened to other people too. But I mean, if you lost it at a Chuck E. Cheese or something, I'm sure that's the only way. I mean, there's plenty of people that have lost virginities. I was gonna call them.
What were you going to say? What were you going to say? Say it, you comedian.
No, man. We got to be a clean radio right now.
I feel like you're camera shy now that I have Hoppe TV loaded on Facebook Live.
I didn't want to curse on the radio. And
you're not on the radio. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, well, now you just took it to a whole nother level, Hoppe. Now you, ooh, this is my shit right now.
No, it's one of those things with the show where I would never swear when I'm on the radio, but there's this thing where when I have comedians in, it kind of gets very edgy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's another thing is everybody wants to be that guy now. Everybody wants to be Sam Kinison. Everybody wants to be Lenny Bruce. Lenny's the reason we got to do this. We got to be edgy.
I know there's that in radio too. Like, I really wanted to be Rover and it didn't work out for me. I really wanted to be Howard. Now I'm being myself. It's cool to be influenced by somebody,
yeah.
But people can read through hackiness. People can read through being unoriginal.
Imitation is suicide. That's the quote. Is it if you try to do, because if there's already a guy in that lane, that's already done. So when Pete Davidson first got on the scene, I was distraught. Like, I love Pete. Pete's a great guy, and he's shown me a lot of love. But I saw that guy, and I was like, he stole my lane. But that's because we do a lot of the same thing. We're both 22. We're both grew up only white guy in a black environment. Dropped out of college. Played basketball. Like, there's certain things that we all lined up. But I'm still me. He's still him. I can find my own lane. I just don't do that. Does that make sense?
How awesome was it when he hooked you up with some shows last year when he was at the Improv in Tampa?
It was great, man. To get the love from somebody that you look up to there's no better feeling. There's no better feeling than for somebody that you respect to go, I respect you too. You know, it feels good. Like when you had Norton on, like I'm sure that felt great. You know, you got to interview somebody you looked up to. You to work with a guy that you respect. There's no better feeling.
It is so awesome when the guys that you look up to are cool to you. Like, I had Florentine on 3 weeks ago, and I got to talk to him for 10 minutes after his Side Splitter show. And this was when he should be relaxing in the back room with Bobby Jewell, just relaxing. But he talked to me for 10 minutes, and it's the most surreal thing. It's just awesome when they care about you. It just makes you want to grind even more, because then you say to yourself, I'm not going to be like the cocky people that forgot where they came from. I'm going to always be the person that's going to be humble, because I'll remember when I'm at this point right now in July 2016, you know?
Why you broke up that word like that, bro?
Because of my speech impediment. I told you beforehand. What
I just thought that's how you said July.
No, it's because of my speech impediment. I have a really weird speech impediment. No.
Come on, man. That was just a country move.
Dude, it was really weird. I was listening to my old shows that I did at Harper.
Yeah.
It's a community school in Illinois. It was so hacky. I was trying so hard to be a shock jock, and I was like, whoa, what's up? This is the Hoppe show. Kim Kardashian, the dumb whore. I literally had chills down my spine knowing that my voice used to be that bad, and knowing that I used to be that horrible at talking. For you, Cam, how awful is it when you watch your original comedy and you know you're trying to overcompensate and fit in?
Terrible. It's terrible. Man, this is what I tell everybody. You got to record every set. You got to record video. You got to record audio. So you have to have some type of archive so that a year later or 2 years or 5 years, however long down the road, you can go back and listen and be like, oh, I have progressed. I have done better. You will hate every minute of it. I watch sets and I'm like, I wore cargo shorts on stage.
Because you're so much better now wearing I feel like Pablo had. You're so cool, dude.
I mean, I'm not even saying I'm cool. I'm comfortable.
I'm messing with you.
That's the best feeling, is being comfortable. You know?
It's really weird. Whenever I try to be funny or like doing a roast to someone, it comes off really mean.
I mean, I don't even take it mean. You just pointed out what I'm wearing. I'd be like, ooh, wearing a college shirt. It's like, it's not mean. You're addressing what I'm wearing. I like when people dress for themselves. Like, that sounds so fucking douchey. Dress for what you like. Don't care about what anybody else says. Ew. It sounds so stupid, but...
Who are some of the comedians that influenced you? Because you definitely have the breed in you. You definitely know what you want to do, and you have the vision, just by the way you portray yourself, bro.
Thanks, man. I mean, Dave Chappelle is the baddest man to touch a microphone. He'll die as the GOAT to me. He's the baddest.
Who's the goodest man to ever touch the microphone? Get what I did there? I just switched it around. I'm not a comedian.
You've been booed on your own show, Hoppe.
No, but what was it about Dave Chappelle that drew you in?
It's comfort. He brought you in. He made you feel like you were a part of what he was talking about. Like, no matter what he was talking about, whether it be race or it be an incident that happened to him, you felt like you were there. You felt connected to him as a person. Like, after I watched Killing Him Softly, I felt like I knew him. And that's comedy. You know, if after the show you can come up to me and be like, hey, I liked what you did. And real friendship. Like, that's...
I noticed that too last week at your wine and rhyme show at the nightclub Elise, or the bar Elise in downtown Tampa. Dude, you had a decent amount of people come up to you. For not being a household name yet, I would say 1/3 of the bar came up to you when you were outside and we were hanging out. And they're like, good show, man. I liked it. That's when I knew you had something going. Is I've been to a lot of comedy shows, and that doesn't happen often. Hell, the names that open up in this town don't always get that, man. That's when you should be proud of yourself, is when people our age that don't even get comedy, most quote-unquote millennials don't care. You drew that bar in, dude.
Thanks, man. It's I like people who like me. That's life. That's how life should be. If somebody comes up to you and they have respect for you, there's no reason to... thanks, person who paid to see me. Like, that's... I hate that sometimes after shows, guys won't meet people. These people paid to listen to you talk. Do you understand how insane that is?
And on the greatest scheme of things, you're a comic.
Yeah.
You're a C-list celebrity if you're a famous comic. You are nothing on the grand scheme of things.
Kevin,
there's 14 billion people on this planet. You are nothing.
I think Kevin's one of the top 20 most recognizable people in the world.
Kevin Hart?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's one example.
Yeah.
1 out of 10 billion, bro.
I mean, comics themselves are it's Batman. Nobody knows who Batman is, but when you see him, you respect him. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, dude.
It's Jay Leno had this great thing. He was talking about comedy is a superpower, right?
Yeah.
You brag about it and you're an asshole. But if you just keep it a secret and you pull it out when you need to use it, it's the most incredible tool you have.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I see that you do a lot of work at Side Splitters. How supportive have they been of you?
That is my home club. I started there October 20th, 2013.
Wow, you know what exactly, you savant.
Everybody knows their first date. Everybody who has ever done stand-up knows the day they got on stage. Because it's one of the most iconic days of your life.
Do you think they saw something in you, or are you just lucky you got the foot in the door?
Both. I think I was fortunate that I was prepared. I did the set. And I think I told you this last time I was here. I did the set, and then I got approached after, and was like, do you want to do this competition? It was Opportunity Knocks. I did it, moved on out of the round, and then they didn't know that it was my first time. So I got very fortunate to be brought into an environment where most people aren't brought into. Most people don't. You have to show progression before they like you. They just thought I was out of town, I guess.
What you do well when you're up there is you seem like a comic because you've spent your life watching it. You know how to present yourself. You know how to be in front of a crowd. You know how to look around without being awkward. Yeah, you might be nervous at times, but every comic is. That's what they saw in you, is you do a very good job of seeming like you're ready.
That means a lot, man. But I don't know if that's what they saw then, because I rewatched that tape and I'm like, yo, I would fight that. That's a funny story. I'll tell you
what
that.
Happened?
When I was in Atlanta at Laughing Skull, there's this guy, Ishmael Lutfi. Hilarious. He finished top 5 out of 101 comics, finished top 5. Very funny man, right? We got to talking, and he was like, have you ever been to Gainesville? And I was like, yeah, I did High Dive. And he goes, are you serious right now? I was like, yeah. That was my second set ever. I did High Dive in Gainesville. And he goes, I fucking hated you. He goes, we all hated you. He goes, every comic in the building hated you. Like, we wanted to fight you. Because they didn't know that I didn't have 15 minutes. And they brought me up to Gainesville to do 15 minutes. And I did all new premises. So I'm up there reading off of a paper, just new jokes. And I was awful. And then I meet this guy 3 years later. And he was like, dude, we're in the same festival. You're dope now. I hated you then. You've grown. And it was just great to have that moment of, you've come so far from me hating you and you disrespecting stand-up to you being good.
What is the key to memorizing your act?
I don't even know if there's a key to memorizing. Everybody's memory is different. My memory sucks. That's why the only way that I remember jokes is if it's real to me. So if I have a real thought and I think, I don't know, the suitcases are a dumb idea, then I really feel that. I have to feel that, otherwise I won't remember it.
Yeah.
So if I fake a story, I'm gonna forget the details that I faked. If I remember, oh, I didn't say this line, but that's because that didn't happen. You know?
Yeah, you come off very natural. You seem like you have it memorized, but you go with the flow. Because after your show at Wine and Rhyme, you said to me, oh, I forgot to do this joke and this joke. But you weren't heartbroken or annoyed by it because you just let it come out naturally.
Yeah. It's sometimes you can't do those jokes. Sometimes that's not what they want. Sometimes you got to give them. It's an experience. Stand up is not. It shouldn't be scripted. Some people do script well. Jerry Seinfeld, it's all an act. It's all a script. Boom, 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 and it's great. But the best comedy is in the moment you're feeling it. So Patrice would go up and he would have 3 ideas he'd want to talk about in an hour. It'd be women, race, religion, whatever it would be. And then he would just let it go from there. He would have topics that he'd want to touch on. So when I go up, I want to talk about going to FAMU. I want to talk about drug dealers and whatever. But I don't need it to be boom, 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 boom. If I'm doing the FAMU stuff and they like it, I'll just say what comes to mind about FAMU because it happened, you know?
How much of it is at the top of your mind? Do you ever come up with jokes in a moment?
Yeah, that it happens, but I'm saying that's not how it. You definitely don't start there.
Yes.
You definitely there's new guys who go in and they're like, I'm gonna go up with no material. Well, you're gonna bomb for 5 minutes. You're gonna waste 5 minutes trying to just be funny. It's not just a clown around moment. You go